Why do you think, people ask here, why do you think the world doesn't seem to care about Palestinians?
Hi, about 3 months ago, I started watching the Ask Project on YouTube. It appeared as something recommended, so I decided to watch it, and I thought, okay, the idea is interesting, asking Israelis, asking Palestinians, so that's good. But as I watched more and more, I realized that Mr. Shuster, Kori Gil-Shuster, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, his way of asking the questions was confusing and a lot of time misleading. Of course, I'm not accusing him of doing this on purpose, but I'm trying to say that many interviewees did not understand the question on many times, and their answers were really sometimes very unclear because of not understanding his question. There was a specific video that I watched maybe a month ago, about a month ago maybe, and the title was, "What could Israel do, or what can Israel do to stop Palestinian violence?" That question was so confusing that the answers were really stupid. Even one guy was suggesting to build a higher wall. I remember a comment underneath the video, a guy saying, okay, there is a Palestinian Trump supporter, or there is a Trump supporter in Palestine. That was very funny. But the question really was very confusing. You know, I was sitting and watching the video and saying, oh my God, what's going on? You need to ask better questions. Use different words, okay? But anyway, I wouldn't say what can Israel do. I was going to do a video on that one, and at that time I was really getting pissed off and so excited about it. But being busy with my work and painting and doing different things, kids and so on, I did not do it. Anyway, but today a video appeared on YouTube on the front page, and of course I subscribed to that channel, and I honestly was going to take a nap as I was watching that video, and I thought, okay, I'll take a nap. But then the question was so misleading that I thought, okay, it was wrong. Even the question was false, and it was so misleading that I couldn't really sleep. I said, okay, I'm gonna make a video as my take on the Ask project. I'm an intense person, so that might show in my speech, my voice, so it's not personal or anything, but that's who I am. I will comment on the question asked in this video. I will comment on some of the answers, and maybe I will comment on some of the videos or the comments under the video itself. And Kori reserves the right to be sarcastic. I'll do my best, if I can, to be sarcastic. So the question is, why does not the world care about Palestine? The question is 100% false, flawed, and misleading. The question should be, why the Western countries do not care about Palestine, and that's not 100% true. And I'll prove it to you. Let's see how many countries care about Palestinians and Palestine. This is taken from the Washington Post, and it was or dated 2014, so it's about 6 years old. And the title is "The Countries That Recognize Palestine as a State." And the yellow states are countries that recognize Palestine as a state. The gray states do not recognize Palestine as a state. Obviously, most of the world, most of the countries in the world, most of the people in the world care about Palestine. So I don't know why Kori decided that most of the world doesn't care about Palestine. Okay, that's number one. Here's another one. This is in 2018, and it shows that St. Lucia, okay, small country, yes, but a country nevertheless, recognize Palestine. So more and more people are recognizing, or more and more countries are recognizing Palestine as an independent state, unlike what Mr. Kori said. This one is taken from Newsweek and it is dated August 10th, 2018, okay? And says Colombia becomes the 137th UN member to do so, to recognize Palestine as a country. Here is another one from worldpopulationreview.com, names of the countries that recognize Palestine and what year they recognize Palestine. Starting from 1988, when PLO declared its independence or as Palestinian state, and goes down to 89, 91, all the way down to 2019. There are about, I think, 195 countries in the world, okay? And 193 of them are countries that are members of the United Nations. 2 of them are not, the Holy See and the State of Palestine. So we'll take Palestine out. So it's 194 countries, minus 139 countries that recognize Palestine as a state. And the answer is 55 countries. 55 countries. So of these 55 countries, of course, many countries do support Palestine and they want, okay, two-state solution. For example, United States, Germany, United Kingdom, France, Japan, and Canada. They do want, Japan might have even recognized Palestine, I'm not sure about that, but there was some talks on the subject. But a lot of these countries do support Palestine and they want a two-state solution, but they are waiting for the right time, I guess, because of the peace process or negotiations or whatever. So what's going on? How come Mr. Corey, okay, is misleading the people, okay? Or is he misinformed? I'm really confused, you know. I don't think he is trying to mislead people. I really don't. Okay, maybe it's not his question, but so people ask him question and he goes to Palestine and the Israeli side and he asks question. But I think he should reword the question. He should, why don't the Western countries, the leaders, let's say, of the Western countries do not recognize Palestine? Because more than most of the countries in the world do recognize Palestine as a state, okay? And the few that do not, they want a two-state solution and they will recognize Palestine as a state. And if you look at the population of these countries, we are talking about almost probably 6 billion people in these countries that recognize Palestine as a state. So yes, the world cares about Palestine and the Palestinians and the Palestinian crisis, okay? They do care about that, unlike what Mr. Corey was trying to do in his video. Now we'll go in more detail in the video on some of the stuff he mentioned that were not true. And of course you have to differentiate between Arab countries, between the people, okay, and the leaders, or the presidents, or whatever you call them, okay? So do the Arab people care, or Muslim nations care about Palestine? Of course they do. Anything that happens in Palestine, you'll find demonstrations in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in all over the world. All over the world when there's something big happening there, or when it's on the news or something going on. So yes, Arab nations, Muslim nations, and non-Muslim nations, also a lot of them, care about what's happening in Palestine, care about Palestinians, and they care about the Palestinian state. Now, why do the Western, or which Western states really do not recognize Palestine? Mainly, I mean, the leader of the countries that do not recognize Palestine is the United States. Okay, you have also Britain, France, Germany, Australia, Canada, as far as I know. So the question is why those countries, okay, do not care about Palestine. Not why don't the world, or doesn't the world care about Palestine, or countries in the world don't care about Palestine. So there are, of course, many reasons. I'd like to mention them here. To start with, we are talking about religion, okay? To start with, we are talking about religion and politics. We'll start with religion. Evangelical Christians, okay, in the States, very clear how they can influence the elections, okay? Nobody can doubt it. I mean, what we see now with Trump, this is what's happening now. And evangelical Christians, okay, from their point of view, religious point of view, you have to support Israel for the second coming of Christ. I don't know what they are dreaming or whatever, okay, but that's what's going on. they support Israel from religious point of view. That's number one. Number two, a lot of Christians or a lot of Western countries feel horrible about the Holocaust, okay, which they did in Europe, okay. We had nothing to do with it, Palestinians had nothing to do with it, yet we are really paying the price. We are paying the price for something we haven't done, okay. So evangelical Christians also have the money, so they control the media. And just look at Fox News, how it does portray Muslims or Palestinians, or whenever there's the issue of Israel and other country, okay, they stand by Israel because of the political or religious point of view. On top of that, when Israel was created in 1948, and after that when the Cold War started, for America and the Western countries, the NATO, Israel was in a good strategic area. Okay, and that helped to support Israel, okay, against the Soviet Union expansion, okay, the communism and so on. So also that's from strategic point of view, there was support for Israel because of that. Now I'm going to talk about some of the answers. At 4 minutes and 35 seconds, around that time,
as I said, it's the occupation. It's an obstacle that does not allow the other countries to help us. The situation is not like the other countries.
But there are other occupations that the world tries to solve.
ولكن في دول تانية محتلة والعالم بيحاول إنه يساعد هاي الدول اللي يخلصها من الاحتلال. فليش برأيك فلسطين مش عم بيصير هيك؟ مش عم بيساعدونا نتخلص من الاحتلال أو بيساعدونا بشكل عام؟
هو فلسطين بما إنه من زمان محتلة مش شيء جديد.
Since Palestine has been under occupation since a long time ago and it's not something
يعني
new.
أغلب الدول باقي ما في احتلال زي الاحتلال
The other countries don't have occupation like we do.
تقريبا كامل.
The occupation here is almost completely controlling everything.
Well, also in Tibet, for example, it's the same.
تعرفي هضبة التبت؟ No, she doesn't.
She doesn't know about Tibet
بس إنه
or Cyprus.
أو مثلا قبرص في هناك برضو احتلال.
what the girl was trying to say that most occupations in the world are different from Palestine. For example, any country that invades another country and occupies it, they can be peace talks or whatever, okay, and the occupier can go back to their country. What she's trying to say is different in Palestine because the Jews did not have a country of their own, okay, and they have taken our country, our land, okay, and she's saying it's different, meaning, okay, where do they go? I mean, to solve the problem is not easy, okay. If the United Nations, of course, of course, there are scores of UN resolutions against Israel. That's another point, that the world is with Palestine against Israel. I'm not saying they want to destroy Israel, but they are pro-Palestinian, that Palestinians should have self-determination and they should have their own country. So the girl was trying to say, you know, the occupation of Palestine differs from other kinds of occupation. And you gave example of Tibet and so on, okay? Tibet and so on, still, I mean, what is the word? From your point of view, you are saying that the world is pro-Tibet, okay? What is it doing for Tibet? It's occupied, nothing happened, so you are portraying it as the world cares about other kinds of occupation and helps them? No, the occupation is still there, they can do nothing because China is strong, okay? Same thing with the Palestinians and Arab countries. America is strong, the Western countries are strong, Arabs are weak at this time. Okay, this is life. This is life. Things change. One day this country comes up, another country goes down. Also, Mr. Corey mentioned two countries by name saying they don't support Palestinians, and that's a big lie. I don't know why he's saying that. He says Jordan doesn't support Palestinians or Palestine. Come on, do you live on Mars or something like that? I'm really confused. Honestly, I'm confused. Where do you get your information from? Jordan supports all Arab countries pretty much, at least in public, okay? Forget about Egypt and its dictator, okay, and the coup that took place in Egypt, okay? But pretty much all Arab countries support Palestine. Okay, there's conflict sometimes, okay? But they support Palestine. Saudi Arabia supports Palestine with money. Since 1948, they've been supporting Palestine. Saudi people, okay, support Palestine all the time, okay? I remember during the first Intifada, how Saudi women were donating their jewelry to be sold and sent to Palestine. So don't tell me, okay, the Arab world doesn't care about Palestine. There are problems with some leaders, of course, because we live in dictatorships, okay? We don't have elected officials, so there's always difference between what does the ruler do and what do the people want, okay? And hopefully sooner or later this will change. Hopefully this will change and we'll have an elected leader who will do what the people want. So to sum up, basically, your question is wrong. Either you are misleading, okay, or you just ask the question the way it was asked by whoever asked you the question, okay. I suggest that you next time when somebody asks you a question to ask the Palestinians or the Israelis, think about it, okay. Just tweak it so that you ask the correct question, because your question is wrong and it is misleading, whether it's based on misinformation, okay, or just intentionally misleading, I don't know. But as I have showed you, yes, most of the world cares about Palestine, okay, about 6 billion people in these countries that recognize Palestine as a state, okay. Maybe I'm intense, I'm sorry, but I think that's who I am. So don't take it personally. I like the show. It's interesting, definitely. But I think your questions need some work and your approach needs work still to get the most benefit of these questions and the opinion of the Israelis and the opinion of the Palestinians.